Welcome to the Senior Podcast Show. My name is Kori Lehr. I am your host, and I'm also the Director of Communications with the Senior Companies. As always, I am here with another very special guest and one of our Senior Network partners, Dahlia Barkho. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here because, as you know, on our show, we talk about many different topics that not just affect seniors, but also people of all ages. And your sister was here. She talked about estate planning, which is also really important. But today we are here to talk about your area of expertise, which is personal injury.
Personal injury law. Yep, that's what I do. I've been an attorney for 10 years and have been practicing personal injury for all 10 years.
I think that's amazing too, because I think sometimes people do a little bit of switching around at the beginning. And so you kind of knew right from the beginning, like, this is what I want to.
It happened early on and I liked it and I stuck with it. And here I am today, 10 years later.
Well, we need people like you. We don't need you until we need you, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as we've talked about on other podcasts and people are talking about life insurance and long-term care insurance, like a lot of people don't think about this need until sometimes it's too late.
It's too late. Auto insurance, obviously we all need it if we're driving. Where I come in would be where, unfortunately, if someone's involved in a car accident or some type of personal injury, then they would call an attorney who handles that.
Yeah. And it's a very specific need. And so I love that is just like your one focus.
That's primarily all I do. And it is a very specific need, and most people don't need a personal injury attorney until you need one.
Yeah.
And those unfortunate times, but accidents happen every day. Car accidents happen. We see them on the news all the time. And as unfortunate as that is, you do in Michigan have rights to collect if you're injured, whether it's in a car accident or whether it's due to someone else's negligence, which is what personal injury law is. Michigan law enables a person to pursue legal compensation if you have been injured. So that's what we're here for, to help our clients do.
I love that you mentioned the Michigan law. I'm going to make a little note of that because I do want to ask you one question about that in a second. But I do want to say, so Dahlia is the co-owner of the Barkho Law Firm. Like we mentioned in the beginning, she's been practicing for 10 years. However, her and her sister went in together in 2021, which I also love, like family, shared passion, same desire to help people who are in need. And so obviously that one's really strong in your family. And I think that's really inspiring as well.
It is. It's not too common, I think, when you see two sisters both practicing law, different fields. My sister practices in estate planning. I do personal injury, but we saw the opportunity to be able to open our own law firm, and we wanted to be able to help clients and treat them the way that I would want to be treated if I needed an attorney, or my parents or my siblings. So that's kind of our goal within our firm, is to treat every client like they are our family members, which is we're able to do now that we have our own firm.
Right. You can create the practice that you want
Exactly.
to have. She mentioned a lot of that too. And I can just tell just by talking to both of you, like that really is what you're centered around.
We try to center it around that. Exactly.
Yeah. So with personal injury, I found a little statistic that said over 400,000 personal injury claims are filed each year in the U.S. And the most common, like you said, is motor vehicle, representing 52%. That is incredible. But I guess if you think about how many people are driving a day and everything, but that's a huge.
It is. I mean, I can't even count the number of clients I've had over the last 10 years, and that's just me. And there's a lot of personal injury attorneys out there. It's an unfortunate statistic, but it's there, and you see it on the news. You see it on your way home from work, the car accidents, whether it's a minor fender bender or a big crash. It's there, and unfortunately, there are clients who are injured. Claims need to be filed.
Yeah.
And it's something that
especially if it's a serious accident, I mean, it really can change the entire trajectory of your entire life.
Yeah. And it's always something that's obviously unexpected. You could be driving home from work. I've had clients who, they were just on their way home from work and get into this horrific car accident. And the next thing they know, their life consists of medical treatment, of going to therapy, of learning how to walk again. It's definitely can be a life-changing situation. And fortunately, not everyone needs a personal injury attorney, but it is a situation where when it comes up, it definitely changes people's lives.
Absolutely, it does. So can you just start with telling us like the basics? Like what exactly is personal injury law?
So personal injury law is a category of law that refers to you're a person being injured. So it's not land, it's not property, it's more of like a bodily injury. So for example, with the car accident situation, if someone's involved in a car accident and they do get injured, where we would be dealing with the person's bodily injuries rather than the car being totaled or damaged. That's what personal injury refers to. Again, Michigan law does give you the opportunity to be able to sue for compensation if you're injured. And it's a very big category. It's not just car accidents, which most people think it is.
Yeah, so I like that you said that too, because behind the scenes you're talking about like dog bites and slip and falls, wrongful death claims.
These all fall under personal injury. Dog bites, if you've been attacked by someone else's dog, that can be a case in Michigan for personal injury. Slip and falls, we see those often. In the winter. Medical malpractice claims, if you think you've been harmed by a doctor's negligence. If it's either a car accident or if you've been injured due to someone else's negligence, you'd be able to bring a personal injury claim.
That's interesting. So if I thought I have one, obviously the first step is contacting you.
Contacting an attorney, yes. It's best to contact an attorney rather than try to do it alone. We're familiar with this. I do it every single day. So I know the ins and outs. I know the law. I know what benefits you'd be entitled to. So yeah, I think step one should be seek medical treatment. But if you're injured, you should definitely seek treatment first. But talking to an attorney should be up there because there's so much that goes on, and insurance companies try to take advantage of the injured victims and the
situation. Yeah, the stress. You're scared. You don't always know what to do.
Most people don't know what to do,
especially if you're incapacitated.
Exactly. So it should be on the list of to-dos is talk to an attorney. Even if you don't think you need one, or even if you don't think you have a claim, it's best to do that. We offer free consultation so we can discuss the facts of what happened and let you know what you need to do. So
what would happen if they did not contact a lawyer, but they had a case? So do you think that anyone involved, because obviously they're probably going to deal with some sort of an insurance adjuster, or if they had a slip and fall, they'd be dealing with the insurance from the building, or if it was a grocery store or something. So
Michigan does have statute of limitations on these cases, and they vary depending on, it's typically 3 years for personal injury cases. So if you don't do anything, you might lose your right to be able to be compensated. But there are times where someone could be involved in a car accident, for example, and then the insurance adjuster for the person who caused the crash can call and say, hey, we'll give you $5,000 for your compensation, sign this release. And that can be troublesome for the car accident victim, because by signing that release, you'd be giving up your right to any further compensation, and they usually are not offering you what you're entitled to.
Oh, of course, they want to get out as cheap as possible,
right? They might I've seen people be offered like $500 to sign this waiver, and then they're kind of be done with anything going forward. So it's important to know what to do if you've been injured. And there are certain things to do. First, I would recommend seek medical treatment, talk to a doctor if you need to go to the hospital, and then you do need to report it to your insurance. So if you've been involved in a car accident, you do want to let your own insurance company know that this happened, and let them know what happened, and let them know all of your injuries, even if you think some are minor, some are major, because some people will focus on my back really hurts, but then my wrist hurts, but it's not that bad. You want to let them know everything, because they document all this. And some things not to do would be, do not give a recorded statement. A lot of these adjusters will tell you that they need to take a recorded statement, whether it's your own insurance company or the other side's. It's important to talk to an attorney before they do this, because giving a recorded statement allows the insurance companies then to use your own words against you when it comes time, for filing a lawsuit or trying to settle a case. And it can be harmful to a case.
When do you find that these adjusters would approach somebody who was in an accident? Was that like after they had medical treatment? Is it like when they're at the hospital, or when do they start creeping in?
It's usually early on.
They're at the scene of the...
they might as well be. It can be real early on, as soon as they are, alerted about the accident, whether it's through their insured or through a police report or through you. try to do it early on, because they know that once you get an attorney, then you'll know that you're entitled to more than
that you shouldn't be
pennies.
talking to them.
Yes. So recorded statements, don't do them. Never admit fault in an accident, because again, that's something that they can use against you down the road. And usually there's different parts of a personal injury case, especially for car accidents, but you don't want to do that. As attorneys, we know what evidence, has to be produced to the other side and what to say and what not to say. So that's why it's always best to talk to an attorney and don't give too much information too soon, because you don't want it to come back and harm your case later on.
How would it affect it if, like, the police were determined that you were at fault?
If you're at fault in an auto accident case, obviously you cannot sue the other driver. In fact, you might be the one who's being sued. And that's something that you would turn over to your insurance company. So it's not anything to be too scared about. The number one thing you should worry about in that moment is just make sure that you're okay. And, if you need treatment, let the cops know, or the ambulance. But it can, if you're the one who caused the accident, it is what it is, kind of.
What if the police don't determine that someone was at fault and then you're hurt and they're trying to, and they're questioning you to try to figure that out? So is that a time when they should still try to say that they're not at fault? Like, not admit or tell them, or like get too deep into the story?
Well, when it comes to reporting it to the cops, you do want to let them know, because if you're found at fault, and that's that. Like, the cop, sometimes it is what it is. It's an accident. Nobody wants it to happen.
Of course.
So if the cop determines that you're at fault, then it is what it is. But if they're asking you to give them a statement, which most cops will take a statement from both sides, and they may be able to determine who's at fault, and sometimes they're not able to determine who's at fault. And that's kind of where this will come up as a case progresses, during evidence, during finding which witnesses to get information from, or deposing witnesses. We'll be able to get that information to kind of put together and see who caused the accident, who was more at fault. Because sometimes it could be two people, running a red light at the same time, and it's just a matter of who's a little bit more at fault than the other.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's where it gets really interesting. Those are all the details that we like to listen to on crime, on crime podcasts, right? It's so funny. I can ask you a bunch of questions like that. However, I do think it's important that you said, like, the first thing to do, call police, get your medical treatment. You mentioned too, like, making sure you're taking photos. Like, if you're not severely injured and you can take your own photos, how that can be beneficial.
It's definitely important to take photos. Again, this is just related to the car accident situation, of your vehicle, if you could, of the other vehicle or vehicles that are involved. And if you have any scarring, any cuts or bruises, take photos of those as well, because that may help later on determining your case and what you can be owed, because that's what they base it off of.
Yeah. I even think with, like, a slip and a fall. I mean, if you have a slip and a fall and you, like, hurt your back, I mean, you're
even in a slip and fall
out, you can for sure take some pictures of that ice or liquid or whatever.
Absolutely. The photos should apply to any situation, even if it's a dog bite. Take a photo of any scars that you may have, of where the injury is. Like she mentioned, the slip and falls. Take a photo of what you fell on, what caused you to slip. Was it a clear liquid? Was it something that was obvious? Take a photo. Exactly. Take a photo, because that will help an attorney determine if you have a case and how to proceed with it. These are all important things that help.
Mm-hmm. I like that you mentioned too, like, just making sure you're reporting it to your own insurance company, and then obviously contacting a lawyer to determine, what those steps are. Yeah. And then I like to, like, what not to do.
Yeah, it's important to know the what not to do, because a lot of people do, when you are involved in a car accident, like you said, you're very stressed, you're very nervous. Most people, it's their first time.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. And sometimes they just will talk too much, and you shouldn't. Or sometimes they give information that the other side doesn't need to hear at that moment. So it is important to know what not to do. And it's admitting fault, or talking to any adjusters, accepting any offers, whether it's at the scene by the other driver who caused the accident and they say, hey, here's $500, let's not report this. You don't want to do any of that. You want to make sure that you report it to the police officers. You want to call the cops if you can, or someone else from the scene should. And then, like we mentioned, just report it to your insurance company, take the photos, number one is the treatment. If you need it, make sure you let the cops know that you're injured if you are, and they'll take care of that and call the ambulance and everything. But definitely don't accept any settlement offers from anybody. At least at the very least, talk to an attorney before you decide to do so.
Yeah, that's the advantage of having an attorney, right? You understand the law, you understand what those procedures are, and then what that person could likely be entitled
Absolutely.
to. I mean, sometimes they're so stressed, they're like, I'll take whatever I can get because I haven't been able to go to work and I need to pay some bills or whatever.
That's exactly what happens, or they get too overwhelmed and don't know what to do. The advantages of having an attorney is we'll take all that on. We're the ones who will deal with the insurance companies. Once you sign a retainer agreement, which is the agreement to hire an attorney, the insurance companies are not legally allowed to talk to you anymore. So it kind of frees you up from doing that. And then it makes it my job to step in and say, then I'll be the communication to the insurance companies and I'll be that middleman. So I think most people kind of get overwhelmed with the process, with just having to deal with all these medical treatments that they have to go through now that they weren't doing before. It's definitely overwhelming. It's a very stressful time, but we're here to make it easier for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And then you're always a little nervous. Am I making the right decision? And all those things. So having, an attorney on our side can be invaluable.
Studies have found that most people who do hire an attorney after a car accident definitely, one, probably obtain more compensation because they know what you're truly entitled to, but they find the process to be a lot less stressful. I think people get even overwhelmed with, here you are, post-accident, and you have all these injuries that you weren't planning on having. And then it's this whole litigation process can be overwhelming, but
absolutely,
we can at least handle that part for you. So it definitely helps.
Yeah, everybody has their own area of expertise. And so, we can't all know it all. I don't even want to. So, we definitely have to talk to an expert, right? You don't, get your roof fixed by someone
absolutely
who's not a licensed, carpenter or whatever. But yeah, absolutely, you got to go with the people who have the knowledge to be able to help you to what you deserve.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I do want to mention, especially for some of our Michigan listeners, so no fault auto has changed.
Has.
And in the past, I am a brain injury specialist and I did physical therapy. And so I worked with a lot of clients who were severely injured. And I would just encourage them to make sure that if they are injured, they would talk to someone like you. But I also think it's important to make sure to maybe keep that coverage at unlimited. I know that it was supposed to save money. I really don't feel like drivers personally are seeing that much of a difference in their coverage. I think the coverage is still sky high.
Right.
I think I kept the same coverage. They said it was supposed to be the same price. It cost me $13 more. Now,
right.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal. However, I was already, at that certain point. And I do think having and keeping that unlimited coverage and maybe even considering an umbrella policy, because with these changes,
right.
we're now more open to lawsuits.
That's a very great point that you brought up. Insurance coverage in Michigan has gone...
It's cuckoo.
It's cuckoo these past, few years with all the changes that happened. And I know there's a lot of myths about, insurance being so high because of all the accidents that are caused. And that's really not what causes them. I think studies have come out also, and there's statistics that say the amount of settlements that insurance companies pay out are like a fraction of the amount that they take in. So it's definitely, I think I would advise people to keep your PIP coverage at unlimited. It's something I think that we try to save money on when we're paying for insurance. But like Kori mentioned, it's not going to save you that much. And if it comes time to, unfortunately, when someone needs to rely on that insurance, it's not going to be there to help you. And they cap out. So some of them are as low as $25,000.
That is nothing.
That's
your initial visit into the doctor if you don't need surgery, into the hospital.
Exactly.
That's it, gone. That means no therapy, nothing. No coverages to help you get medical equipment if you need it, done.
Right. And that's the stuff that they don't tell us. They just said, we'll try to save you some money. And I did the same thing. I kept mine at unlimited, and I think I ended up paying like $7 more.
It's crazy.
So I'm like, you're not really saving much, but the risk of what could happen is so much greater that you don't want to take that risk.
It truly is. And I think if you've got to see the people who really need it firsthand and have it be denied, or if they're at $250,000, that is still not enough.
Yeah.
If you need a surgery or you have broken bones, or it's just, It's very, very scary, and the money goes really, really quick, as we know with insurance. I mean, even health insurance.
The doctors are not cheap to go to, and then especially when it becomes a constant thing, because we go to our yearly physicals, that's fine, and you go to your dentist twice a year, and that's fine. But when it becomes a point where someone needs physical therapy 4 times a week, or they need surgery or multiple surgeries, or they're treating for a closed head injury, these are where the medical costs can skyrocket. So I've had situations where sometimes you have to be careful. You should really look at your auto policies. If you don't understand them, give me a call. I can review it with you. But I had a client one time, and she wasn't even aware that her agent reduced her PIP. I think she just kind of told him, give me the cheapest possible, which is what most of us do, because you're like, we're paying so much. Let me save some money when I can. So that was what she had told her agent, and that's what the agent did. He dropped her coverage a little bit to save her that extra $13 or $15. And then her daughter was involved in a car accident, and it was $25,000 was what her cap was.
Oh my gosh.
And she couldn't even get into some doctors because they're like, if the treatment will cost more than this, they don't even know what to do, because who are they supposed to bill?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is so sad.
It definitely threw a wrench in how auto law was working and insurance coverage for these victims. But it is important. Look at your policies. Make sure that you do have the unlimited option selected for the PIP coverage, because that can be a huge thing when it comes time to needing it. If you ever do. I mean, hopefully you don't, but if you do.
Yeah, I hope no one ever does either, but it definitely can really make the difference in your entire quality of life. I mean, we talked about having that trajectory be changed. Like, not having the right coverage can just destroy it more. To be honest, your quality of life.
Absolutely, because if you need treatment and now your coverage is pulled, or it's capped at a certain amount, and you can no longer go to the doctor that you were going to, or now you have to rely on which doctors maybe are covered with your health insurance, and that might not be the doctor you want. And some doctors don't provide certain treatment. So it does kind of leave the injured person in not a good position. So it's so important to look at that policy.
Yeah, keep your PIP coverage and call Dahlia.
Definitely do so. And even if you have questions about coverage, even if you're not injured and you want to make sure that your policy is what you want it to be, give me a call. We can go through that. We'll review it with you and make sure that it's kind of, you understand what your coverage is. Because some of the agents, I think, when people are going to them, they do say, give me the cheapest one, or I want to pay the least possible. But I don't think most people understand what they're giving up to save the extra $10.
I agree. That extra education. And that's what I got both from you and your sister too, like very heavy on making sure that the clients are aware and feel comfortable with those decisions. So much education, and that's important. I agree. And it's definitely lacking on the other side.
Yeah, I think insurance agents are just there to sell the policies, and if it comes to removing some coverage just to be able to not lose that client, that's what they're going to do, unfortunately. But you want to make sure that everything is how you want it to be and what you intend to have.
Yeah, and it can be confusing. I mean, especially when they're like you said, there's the PIP, and then there's all these different acronyms, and you're like, what the hell is this?
Those declaration pages definitely do get confusing. Then there's like uninsured and insured, all of that. So you want to make sure
coverage is enough. So you have shared so many tips with us. It's very, very important information. I do want to make sure that our audience knows how to reach out to you. How can they contact the Barkho Law Firm? And if you want to, just tell us a little bit more about your firm personally.
So I bought our firm, my sister and I, she's my partner, we're both attorneys. We started this firm in 2021, the very end of 2021. It was something we kind of always talked about doing when we were younger. And then when we both went to law school, we always joked about the idea of having our own firm together. And then we had the opportunity, we took it. And the reason that I definitely like doing it this way, because I can be in control of, how I want to treat the clients. Sometimes when you're working for someone else, it's kind of like their rule, their way or the highway situation.
Yeah.
So being children of immigrants, I think we saw our parents always kind of struggle to adapt to this country and all of that. So it's kind of been like our lifelong goal, or just the way that we practice to always help others. And I think being able to treat all of our clients like they were our family. I go into every client meeting thinking, hey, if this is was my mom, how would I want her to be treated? Or if that was me on the other side, how would I want to be treated? You get us, if you call, it's not like I'm going to pawn you off to a different attorney. So if I'm handling your case, it's going to be me from the beginning to the end. And we're there, we're available. If you need to call, if you need to email, we're very responsive. But mostly we want to make our clients feel like we're in this with them. Like, we know what you're going through. We know the process. We try to explain, even if it's estate planning, it doesn't have to be just personal injury, but explain the whole process, make sure that you're comfortable understanding what's going on, what you're doing, and all of that. So it's been great, a great year and a half so far. We're thankful for all the clients that we've had. And if you do need to reach us, you can give us a call anytime, 248-744-6585. You can also email me. It's at Dahlia, DAHLIA, at barkholaw.com. Again, we're very responsive. I would say less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
I try not to keep them waiting.
I'll say usually it's a need, especially in your practice.
Yeah.
The estate planning can take a little, no, she's responsive too, but it's not as emergent. Yeah.
Right. No, you do. Because I always imagine on the other end, the client's needing to know.
Really?
And there's a lot going on. Even for estate planning, I mean, there's times where we'll get calls and the person's like, hey, mom or dad is in the hospital and we need this power of attorney signed right now. So we try to understand that even it's not just another client to us. It's not just another, case that we're going to have. It's each person has such a unique story, and that's their situation that we have to deal with as if it was our own.
I love the things that you're saying, because I think a lot of people too are nervous to talk to attorneys. They have an interesting reputation, right? And so I think people can be intimidated by it. And so I think too, if our audience does give you a call, I think that they'll feel more comfortable.
We try to do that. I think you're right. I think attorneys do get a bad rep.
I gotta say it. Someone's thinking it.
It is what it is. But honestly, I don't look at it that way, because I'm just thinking if someone were to call me, I think I'm very easy to talk to. I don't I don't try to be intimidating, and I'm not going to overwhelm you with information.
Not until she has to and she's winning your case.
Right.
Yeah. Then she's a shark.
So because I try to understand that this is what I do every day, but it's not what they do every day. Right. So if someone's calling in, I'm not going to just throw all these legalese terms at them and they're like, what are you talking about? And I notice that clients sometimes will get even more nervous and don't even are afraid to ask, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I think I do a very good job at breaking it down and explaining to everyone, this is what's happening and this is what your case is and these are the facts and this is the process, this is how litigation works. And we just go through it together step by step the whole way.
Yeah, that's so important, because then building that trust and building that rapport obviously is your main goal.
It's definitely important.
So like Dahlia said, you can reach the Barkho Law Firm at 248-744-6585, or you can go on their website. They also have a Facebook. Their website is barkholaw.com. That's BARKHO law.com. Very, very responsive, like she said. They do free consultations, so I encourage you to reach out to them. Like she said, if you just want to review some policy information and just make sure that you fully understand what you're getting yourself into, I think that's really important as well. The Barkho Law Firm, like she did mention, does personal injury, and they also have an estate planning with her sister. Both of those things are very, very, very important. You need to make sure that you protect yourself. We talked a little bit about insurance and said, hey, it's not something that you think about until you need it. And so having those plans in place are so important to be able to protect yourself. And also this knowledge that you shared with us. I didn't know all the things that you mentioned. What should I do? I know that I need to call the police, right? If I'm in an accident, in any of the instances you mentioned, dog bites or slip and falls, but having that information can make you feel more confident and understand what you need to do to make sure that you're not given information you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think it gives a little bit of, gives you a little bit of peace of mind when you at least know one part of what's happening. You might not know what's going on all around, but at least you can say, hey, I know that I should take photos. That might help me. So I think that's important to have little information here and there. You're not going to know everything at once, but it's important to know what you how to help yourself in those situations.
Absolutely. And I think too, that's what I said earlier, like the education that you guys provide and the patience that you have and just making sure that everyone knows what's going on.
Right.
I just love it. I've learned so much from you too already. I'm like,
glad.
come back again. Let's find some other things that you guys can teach me. Again, the Barkho Law Firm, Dahlia Barkho, thank you so much for being on with us. We appreciate it. Is there any other just remarks or bits of advice you just want to share with our audience last minute?
I would say be careful on the roads when it comes to personal injury. There's so much, like, you have to just be such a cautious driver. I think nowadays with like the texting and the driving and the drinking and driving, and
distractions.
There's so much distractions. I've seen people, and I've seen cases where the at-fault driver was, on their phone, or they dropped something, they bent down to pick it up as they're driving 70 miles per hour on a freeway. So even if you're not doing that, be cautious with, everyone around you. And just be safe out there. I know we're getting a big snowstorm tomorrow, so don't leave your house if you don't have to.
I'd love to not. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us again. Like I said,
thank you so much for having me.
To our audience, if you have questions, you can reach out to me. If you have suggestions for further episodes, you can contact me at kl@theseniormovers.com or by phone at 586-204-8500. We would love to hear from you. We love your comments. We love your input. We absolutely encourage it. You can find us on Facebook at The Senior Movers or at adviso.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are full of information, so many different topics out there. Please reach out to us, and I'll see you next time on The Senior Podcast Show.